So I posted these because solid tablecloth, although my eye pings a little bit because we were clearly in a rush and my tablecloth is on a little wonky there. But baskets, clear pricing, stacked, I want my colors at different levels, clear sign who we are, if you accept credit cards, if you don't, which I highly recommend you do, if you don't already. This one, and this is part of, I posted this because I will come in with 3 or 4 tables, but by the time I leave, and I think probably most of the vendors here could attest, I'll be broken down to 1 table by the end of market because I want to condense, I want to reduce and condense. Nobody wants to buy, 5 things of peas when I originally had 40 and now I have 5, and then I have a whole of empty, and then I have 10 carrots, and then I have a whole of empty. You want it all, think about putting it all back together, making it look full. They want to come to you. You want to think about your colors, or however, if you're bakers, how you're going to stack your cookies or your cupcakes, or how you're going to arrange that. That all matters with people wanting to come and see you and talk to you at your stand. So, thanks guys for the pictures back there. I posted these ones because back yonder is very clear with their signage, who they are, where they're coming from, what they're selling. The chalkboards in the front are great. Beulah did it too. You can put things on here. She put, we don't use any synthetic pesticides. The only caveat I want to put to that is, if you are marketing that you are organic, you cannot do that unless you are certified. You can put, I use organic practices. You can put something like synthetic or no synthetic sprays or something like that. You cannot say we are organic unless you have the certification, and that is a bear. So I don't think anybody has it at this point, but just keep that in mind. Also keeping in mind your flow with both of their stands. With Angie's here, you come around and you check out on this corner. With this one, you come around, you check out down here. I like their stand because, again, the tablecloths are down. They fit over their table. It's that wood look. It reminds me of like Little House on the Prairie general store type situation. And also, when people line up to check out, they like to impulse shop. I can't tell you how many people have been like, I'm just going to get these couple tomatoes, and by the time they left, they've got tomatoes and onions and whatever, because they've had to wait 3 or 4 people deep, and they're just staring. It's like the magazine and candy aisle in Walmart or something. They just grab as they go. So not all of you are going to be big enough to do this yet, I understand that, but as you go, even if you're a single stand, just thinking about that type of flow and situation as you get bigger will be important. Okay. Lastly, I posted this one. This was a vendor that's not with us anymore, but I liked her stand because it was, again, solid down to the ground. 1 single table. This table couldn't have been more than maybe 6 feet. She did not have a lot, but she had her card, she had her cash box in the back there. It's all very nicely laid out, very clear pricing, her name, what she's doing. I'm not in love with the bag chair situation, so on the previous post, you saw Matt and Mr. Bircher, they were standing, very stout behind the stand, but they were standing. You want to think about that. It's concrete floor. Standing for 3 to 4 hours can be rough. The market highly encourages, there are these black collapsible stools that you can get at Walmart. I think they're about $18 normally.
I don't know if Walmart has them anymore, but Menards had them last time I looked.
Okay, you can look online. I've seen them online that you can order them. It sits you up high enough to where you can see without sitting down in like a bag chair. With Marley's stand, her bag chair, because she wasn't stacking, was fine, so she could still interact with customers and have that conversation. But when you're sitting and you're doing this, people are not going to buy from you. I even talk to customers that aren't even coming to my stand. You see people come and they'll be wandering around, and I can clearly tell they're looking something. Hey, can I help you find something? Yeah, I'm looking for pies. Well, Vicky's only here on Fridays. But even though they might not buy from me that day, they'll remember that I was hospitable, that I was helpful, and they may very well come back the next time and buy because I spoke to them. Hey, thanks for helping me last time. I'm glad Vicky was here this time. Do you have any carrots, or whatever? So all of that is important in marketing your business, in your presentation. I would much rather buy from someone that has a clean stand, that looks clean. Maybe you have some marketing on your shirt or something for your business. I do not want to buy from somebody that is disheveled, crazy and disorganized, the table's all messed up, because then that makes me feel like that probably also is what happens in their life. And you might have some food safety issues or some other, I'm not saying you do, I just need to think about that when you're presenting yourself out to the public and trying to get them to buy your goods. The last thing I want to mention is, these are just some quick thoughts that I had about what to bring to market. So the market does not provide change. If you run out of ones, I've been there, okay? Beg, borrow, and plead. Marty's been my girl. That's my secret stash. No one is able to utilize her if needed, okay? But we can't provide change, and it is not super easy to get out of that market to go and run and get something in the middle. So keep that in mind. If you have a credit card reader, or if you do not accept credit cards, I highly suggest you do. It is not expensive. I cannot tell you the number of clients that have run by my stand and said, oh man, you have carrots, I didn't know you had carrots, I'm all out of money, do you take credit card? Yep, it's $10 minimum. Then I'll get 2 carrots, perfect. And then they're gonna go. So, or whatever, you don't have to have a minimum, ours isn't even $10, it's just an idea, okay? Because otherwise what I have to say is, hey, I don't accept credit cards, but you can go to the green tent and go see Bev. She'll swipe your card, it's $1.50, she'll give you tokens, then you can come back and buy. That's just too much. You know, just take my card, just take my money, swipe it, give me what I want so I can go. They're impulse shopping a little bit at that extent. Sometimes they'll even buy more. Oh great, you accept credit cards, and I'll get this, this, and this. Or they even feel bad that I have a minimum because of the fees. People are more in tune to those fees now. So I do think it would be worth it. It is usually free, at least it was free when I set it up. We use Square to do all of that, and then the fees come when they swipe. So there's no cost to you up front. Tables, rubber bands, twist ties, signage, pens, a market book maybe for some notes, produce bags, baskets, boxes, anything to give height, business cards, scale. I wanted to mention quickly about the scale since that was talked about a few minutes ago. And a few notes that were not in my presentation, but I feel like I should mention a little bit. When you bag your items, produce growers, prior to coming to market, you are not required to use a certified scale. Okay, so he mentioned that. But when you come to market, if they weigh those items, they have to be at or more what you said they were. So I would highly suggest you use the scale that you're going to use at market. That is a certified label for retail or for sale at market. You do also have to consider the way that you label your products. So if I'm selling a quart of berries, my quart has to weigh 1.25 pounds. I can't just fill it to the top and say it's a quart. It's got to weigh that. So if I market it and say it's by basket, then there's no like weights and measures getting involved to an extent. It is a little tricky, but just keep those sorts of things in mind. You need to read some of that. They haven't really come to the market, but it might not just be our market, it could be other markets. We sell at a much bigger market, and it sometimes, you know, people will show up and they'll start asking questions, and when you're in the midst of your vending, you just need to know, you know, what they're looking for. Labeling, you do have to label if it's bagged, so lettuce, spinach, things like that, unless it's head lettuce and it's not bagging. So keep that in mind. There's several produce growers here that have been doing that for a while, so please ask questions if you have anything to ask about that. Lastly, I put at the note here at the bottom here a little Bootstrap Farmer has an article, so you can see how I just threw it in last minute because nothing is appropriately grammar-wise here, on how to sell at a farmer's market article. I felt like that was a good article that gave a lot of the points that I gave, but maybe some extra for the new vendors that haven't come that I think could get you started pretty well. So, okay, any questions?
Thanks.
Hopefully not.
I got a comment.
Yes.
Just to expand on Square, that does work really well. The one
It does.
Paul's got, you put the iPad at the stand,
Yep.
and then you get all kinds of reports on sales and sales tax and, you know, your margins, and you can get all kinds of reports.
You can do, we just have the chip reader, which works For us, that would be a little bit more investment, but it is worth it. We've looked at that as well. I don't disagree that those are great. It does, if you load into it, it will give you all of those reports.
And for what
back.
Paul does, it keeps track of inventory also.
It does. So I've sort of argued with Paul a little bit about this. The only issue I have with it for produce growers is that my inventory changes so
Right,
fast.
right.
Whereas like with a meat vendor, it stays a little, I wouldn't say consistent, but you're able to keep better
Well,
track.
You can look and see.
of that,
pork chops,
yes.
You know, you can kind of see.
So
where
in
you
that
are.
sense, it would be great. Square in general, though, has been primarily, I feel like, the go-to for a lot of vendors utilizing a credit card service and doing that. So if any of you have any questions about any of this, we'll be hanging around too for a little bit. There's some other vendors, Benita and Richie are pretty up to it. Marty and Joe use a lot of this stuff. So please just pop around and see us, and we'll be happy to help you guys.
Okay, thanks, Kim. All right, we're gonna invite Bev up here
Make sure that
now.
keeps going.
She's gonna go through some of the financial stuff.
press the
She's gonna
red
go
button
through the
to do it.
token system and then some of the funding stuff for the market.
Okay, thanks, Amber. We are so lucky that we got to borrow a token system from the very beginning. We didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Other people were doing it well, so we implemented the same token system at our farmers market that a lot of other markets have. And so we have three, you could call it 4 types of tokens at the market. So the first are debit credit tokens, and those are the green ones. They're worth $5 a piece. They spend just like $5 bills. You can give the customer cash back, and you know, it's easy peasy. There is a $1.50 transaction fee for those, but because we do have fees that we have to pay with the market. The second type of token that we have is the EBT SNAP tokens. So that is for all of our food vendors. Our customers are SNAP customers that possess a SNAP card, can be from any state, doesn't have to just be Missouri, that they can come and slide their card at the market tent, and we give them those $2 SNAP tokens. We also have these little paper coupons that are $1 SNAP, and you can see that this token matches the real token that's on there, and that's how you know. They do not pay a transaction fee. We're not allowed to charge a transaction fee for that. And those are good at any, on any regular SNAP food items, whether it's bread or coffee beans or fruits, vegetables. Those are meats, honey, any of the food items that they would normally spend SNAP benefits on in the grocery store, they can spend at the farmer's market the same way. We are so lucky we have something called a Double Up Food Buck grant, and those tokens are these $1 purple plastic tokens. And so our SNAP customers can have their transaction matched each market day for up to $25 on that market day. And the purple tokens can only be spent on vegetables and fruits or plants that grow them. So if you're a produce vendor, you can take those tokens. Now, they help everybody though, because that means that our customers have more tokens to spend elsewhere in the market. So it's not, even though those tokens are only for produce growers, that means they have more discretionary for other items at the farmer's market. So they help everybody. Are there any questions on that? If you're a vendor at our market, then you're automatically agreeing to our token system. Does that, you'll have to sign a form that you understand it, because of course there are regulations that are involved with this. Yes.
So we just bring like the tokens up at the end of the day and then
Yes, I'll get to that. Just a moment. Okay.
I think so, what was something that I forgot? But see if I think of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, getting to your question, that we have a what we call the vendor token form, And it looks like this. It's actually in real life about this big, not that big. So we'll give you one of those to fill out each market day. And it should be pretty self-explanatory, but you're telling us what day it is, how many of a certain token that you have. We help you do the math. If I did the form right, we help you do the math. And you'll fill that out, total it up, and so then you're telling us how much you brought in that day. We will also count, so that hopefully between the two of us, that we get the numbers right. And then not only is this how you tell us how many tokens you took in for the day, but also this is how we manage your stall fees as well. So our daily fee is a $10 minimum for a non-electric stall and $15 minimum for an electric stall. But if 3% of your sales are over that, that's what you need to pay to the nearest dollar. Just round down to the nearest dollar, and that's what it is. So if 3% of your sales is $12, then that's what you need to pay rather than the minimum of $10. Does that make sense? So the higher of the two. We do pay rent to the fairgrounds, so a portion of that goes to pay the rent on the pavilion. We want you to tell us who we're making the check out to. Some people, but we usually figure it out. We know most of you pretty well. But if you could tell us how you want to make the check out to, and most of you are already signed up for electronic transfer, that we direct deposit the payment into your account by the 10th of each month. But some people still prefer a check. There is a fee for that the processor charges us, and we'll pass it on to you. But otherwise, we'll be asking for your account information so we can have it direct deposited there. And then you sign and we sign, and indicating that we agree that the numbers are correct. And then at the end of the month, then Amber and I, or Brenda and I, will go through those again. We'll check the numbers once again. We'll enter them into the system and get the funds to you. So, any questions on that? Yes.
So you're direct depositing the SNAP and the tokens into the account, but we're paying in cash at the time of market our vendor fee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the way most people do it. Some people write a check, but it's generally, most vendors choose to pay it in cash.
And all of this is in the vendor packet, so if you need to be reminded of the tokens and then the process of filling this out, that's all in there too, so you have it in writing.
And these are carbon copied, so we get a copy, you get a copy, and everybody's got a tracking system for that. Compare your check and make sure that we paid you the right amount, so hopefully we did. Any questions? Okay. All right, so market funding information. We are and have always been a not-for-profit organization, so it's not our goal to get rich of the market, off of the market. We all do this because we love this. And we have one part-time employee, and that is Amber, our market manager. And she works up to 18 hours per week from April through October. And then she works up to 5 hours per week on the other months of the year. Because we still have, several of you still have business going on. You didn't shut down, and you're still putting up market posts, and Amber's paying attention to that, and she's sharing the market posts, and she's making sure that we get information on the vendor page about grants available and upcoming conferences, et cetera, et cetera. So there still is work being done even in the off season. But our budget is about $22,000. A portion of that is your vendor fees, which go to pay for that. The rest of the funding is through sponsorships, grants, and other fundraising that we do. So if you know somebody that would be a great market partner for us, Buffalo Regional Health Center has been a sponsor since the beginning, as have MFA Agri Services. Our business has been a sponsor, Rawlings Architects has been a sponsor since the beginning. And I think there's several others out there that would be great corporate sponsors. Brian Jenkins, State Farm agent, always sponsors our opening day. So we have a corporate sponsorship packet that we can share. So if you know somebody that would be interested, did you talk about the not-for-profit table?
No.
Okay. And then we also permit not-for-profit organizations to come and have a tabling event at the market if we have space for them, and we usually put them front and center. So we've had like the Alzheimer's Association has come and talked about their walk that they're doing. And we've had Marissa's Human Trafficking Organization, anti-human trafficking. And let's see, and we've had several others that, the library has come and they've done a library park drive there. So if you know of not-for-profits that would be interested in coming and get the word out to several hundred people who come to the farmer's market each day, please share that information as well. We want to be great members of the community, and that's one way that we do it. Is that my last slide?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I think you're, oh, no, you're getting ready, but.
Yep.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
And I think Amber mentioned, but I will be, I'm here with the receipt book, so if you want to pay fees tonight, but if you have not, if you're not a veteran vendor and you don't know if you've been accepted yet, don't pay me your fees tonight, except for your application fee, because we don't want to have to issue a refund just in case you're not in the market.
Okay, thanks, Bev. All right, we're almost done. I just wanted to point out some of the perks of this market and being a member here. We are really grateful that we have the Newport Pavilion on the State Fairgrounds as our home. It is a wonderful place. We don't have to set up tents. There's electricity, there's lights, there's huge fans that are great during the summer. It's right there on Highway 65, just right off the freeway. There's parking, there's bathrooms. It's really a great location, and we are very grateful for it. The community is really great between the vendors and the board and staff members, and also a lot of our customers. It has become, everybody has kind of become like family. All of the board members and are volunteers, except for me. I'm the only one that gets paid, but everybody else is completely dedicated to the market and gives a lot of themselves to make it happen. We have the Little Sprouts program that Kim talked about that Teresa does every Friday, so there's programs for the kids that we do. We also have special events like musicians, cooking demos, and samples, which we haven't done a lot post-COVID, but we're gonna bring them back more frequently this next year. And then we also have a bunch of community partners, which Bev did mention some of them. As she said, Bothwell and MFA have been our sponsors since the very beginning of the market. We're also members of the Farmers Market Coalition, Farmers Market of Missouri, and Missouri Grown. Brian Jenkins has sponsored our opening day market for a long time, most of
Last 5 years. I think.
okay,
Yeah.
last 5 years. So he will be there in some form on opening day. We also do interviews with the Sedalia Democrat and the radio, KDRO. They are great in helping support us and getting the word out. The Missouri University Extension Office does a lot of work in partnering with us too. The Missouri State Fair is a great home to us. They charge a lot more for other people to use the pavilion than we do. We get a screaming deal on the pavilion every market day, so we are grateful for their support as well. And Sedalia Main Streets I have listed up there because when we, during the state fair, we do have to vacate the pavilion during the state fair. We have been going downtown, and the people who work with Sedalia Main Streets have been really wonderful in helping get that all set up. This last year we were out in front of the courthouse, which was a beautiful location, but there wasn't a lot of parking, so we're probably gonna go back south to out in front of Ozark Coffee because there's a parking lot right there, and so we'll probably be downtown again during the state fair. Makes us grateful for the pavilion the rest of the year. But it's only 3 market days, and so it's not too bad. Okay, last thing, just a review on applications. You can find the application on our website, SedaliaAreaFarmersMarket.com. Click on that vendor tab, and then that red button has our whole packet. I know it's a lot of information. Read through it, fill out the application, and then it's due March 1st if you want to be considered to sell at the market opening day. We do continue to accept applications throughout the market. It's just contingent on whether or not we have a need for whatever you're selling if you apply later in the year, if that makes sense. Okay, any questions on that? Yes, Ken?
Amber, liability insurance, that's another thing you didn't cover much of.
Yeah,
You know,
it's in
someone
the
who's
packet.
new-
We
Someone
do-
who's new, I mean, yeah, that's in that bag, I know.
Yeah, it's in the packet. We do require that you have liability insurance. We have insurance, the market has insurance, but they also require that vendors themselves have liability insurance. And usually you can get it as a rider on whoever has your homeowner's insurance and stuff like that. There's also a food, what is it called? Flip program. Yeah, what is that the acronym for?
Food liability.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Campbell Risk Management.
Okay, Campbell
It's
Risk
part of the
Management.
Farmers Market Coalition.
And it doesn't cost a lot of money. The liability insurance is pretty affordable. So we do require that to be turned in with your application too. And that's in the vendor packet.
Although don't get the insurance until you know if you're accepted at the market.
Fair point.
Yes.
Yes.
Amber?
Yeah.
Can I mention a few more things that
Yeah.
after I looked at my notes, I forgot to tell you guys quick.
Yep.
So backing off of the liability insurance, you do need to turn in your licenses at the time of your application, preferably. So if you have an egg license, we would really like to see that. Like she said, don't buy the liability insurance until you're accepted, but we will need to see it. Campbell Risk is who most of us have it through. I think mine, I don't remember if it's like $1 million or $2 million, but I feel like it was like $380 for the
I
year.
think that's for the 2 million.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Hey, then I'm really insured apparently then.
Not so much, really.
Yeah, right now, not so much. So keep that in mind. Also, if you are doing any of the canning things or certified kitchens or any of that as well, we just need to make sure that everybody is checked the boxes basically.
Yeah, if you have a certified kitchen, just
Yes.
send a copy of that certificate.
She mentioned State Fair. You do not need tents at the pavilion, but you will need tents during State Fair if you plan to vend during State Fair. So keep that in mind. Tents will require weights. That is also in the vendor packet, but just keep that in mind for new vendors. One of the things I did not mention in the marketing piece was, and you haven't mentioned it either, was we do require vendors to be there no later than 2:30. That is becoming a big safety issue. Customers get there early and they want to peruse around, and it's really hard when people are pulling in with their cars, like dodging customers trying to get to their spot. So 2:30, now last year Matt and I had a blowout on the highway. I called Amber, she shifted some stalls, I snuck in from in the back. I think I still set up at like 3:10, that was great. I was like really proud of myself that day getting that done. But we know things happen. Frequent and often communication is really appreciated. So just keep that in mind. Also, as part of marketing, she will do a live on Facebook at 2:50. We would really like you to be set up in your stalls. It's pretty good marketing for you guys. They go around, they show each of your stalls.
Kim runs away.
At what's that?
I said, Kim runs away.
Yeah, Kim runs away from that. You can go on the Facebook page for July Farmers Market and see the videos of previous ones, and I do have a tendency to be like,
And I get tired of talking and saying things all the time, so I like to ask questions and
she
talk to
does.
you.
She asks questions, and I'm sort of yelling them over my shoulder because I'm doing 10 million things. I'm going to try not to do that as much this year, but get in front of the camera. Who are you? Why are you here? What are you selling? Any deals you're offering that day? Sales, something along those lines. People want to see your tables full. It's much harder to do the live at like 3:15, especially if it's like the first week of tomato season, because my stall is like, or anybody's, Benita's stall, anybody's, and you haven't had time to put it back together, and you want to do that, and I don't want her coming up and I'm in the middle of doing 10 million things, and people don't want to see an unorganized, oh, they're practically sold out, then I might as well just not go. So she will do it at 2:50. We do try to get you set up and ready to go before that opening bell. You cannot sell before 3 o'clock. I don't think that was mentioned either. It is in the vendor packet. Once again, you cannot sell before 3 o'clock. There are certain exceptions that can be made at the market tent through Amber. Not very many. So just keep that in mind. It's just to keep even continuity through everybody, give everybody the chance to have a fair and even market. Lastly, QR codes were mentioned, but I'm seeing Apple Pay being bigger. I'm getting a lot of people asking me if I accept Apple Pay. And for some reason Venmo, I don't know why that's becoming so much of
You have
but,
to watch with Venmo
You do?
though, because they can,
so
you don't
I
know
really
Venmo.
still,
but Apple Pay with Square